Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show live in the On Purpose Woman magazine and global community Facebook group, or page, excuse me. I'm Ginny Robertson, one of the hosts of the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show, and I'm also the founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine and founder of the On Purpose Woman global community. My guest today is the other host of the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show, the creator of the Manifesting Clients Academy, and my good friend, Kathryn Yarborough. And we'll be talking about her 7 steps to manifesting anything. Kathryn, hey, glad you're here.
Thanks, Jenny. Always good to be here.
So I'm excited to get into this conversation, but before we do, I want to tell our audience a little bit about you. So Kathryn Yarborough teaches coaches, energy workers, healers, and other on-purpose solopreneurs how to manifest clients and grow the businesses their hearts long for. She is the founder of the Manifesting Clients Academy, an inspirational speaker, and the author of Keep Moving Forward, a guide for the on-purpose solopreneur. Pull that book out, Kathryn.
Thanks, Jenny.
Great book. Let me just say that is a really good book for any entrepreneur, no matter where you are on your entrepreneurial path. Go check that book out. You can get it on Amazon. So Kathryn, I'd like to start with some basics today because, you and I talk about manifestation. I've been looking at manifestation for decades, I think, but we may have people watching who have varying degrees of understanding about that. So how would you define manifestation, and what do you mean when you talk about it?
Well, manifesting is what happens when we take an idea, there's something swirling around in our head, and we do whatever and bring it into physical form. So the whatever may be action. For example, I had an idea for a book, and as any author knows, it's a long process. It could be anywhere from a few months to a few years to get that book out of your head, onto paper, edited, and into physical form. That's manifesting. I manifested that book. Mm-hmm. We can manifest a feeling. Maybe you want to feel more joy. So you can call up the idea of joy and do the practices I'm going to share with you, the 7 steps, and you can experience more joy, either in a moment or on a regular basis in your life. So manifesting is something humans do all the time. We are always manifesting. I love the example of deciding on what you want for dinner. Let's say I'm sitting here thinking about dinner and I think I want some spaghetti for dinner. The thought just runs through my head. And then I sit with it for a minute and I go, yeah, I think I really would. Then I go into the kitchen and I check to see if I have all the ingredients. And if I do, okay, I'm good to go. I've had a thought. Dinner time, I fix the spaghetti and I eat the spaghetti. Manifesting. I manifested a spaghetti dinner. I think people often think about it, and the law of attraction is often closely connected when we talk about manifestation. And sometimes people think it's just this woo-woo process that you just say affirmations and all of a sudden the thing that you want shows up. I win the lottery, and then you win the lottery. You don't win the lottery unless you bought some tickets. You don't manifest a spaghetti dinner unless a total miracle happens and a neighbor comes over with a spaghetti dinner, or you make it yourself or you buy it, right? So,
yeah.
But the process starts with an idea. Now, we can manifest what we want and we can manifest what we don't want. But we're always manifesting everything that you have, every experience you've got going on in your life. This is everyone, not just you and me, but all of us. We manifested it. We created it. We had an idea for the home we live in, or we had to go to default to the home that we live in. It might not be what we want, but we knew we needed to get a home, and it somehow or another, this is what we manifested. Or the car that you drive, or not the car that you drive, or the job that you have, or the partner in life that you have, or the friends that you have, or the career, whatever. All of that, we all manifested.
Yeah. Thank you for simplifying that so much, because I think we can make it too ethereal, too magical, and we are always doing it. So I'm sure you'll get into this, but it's probably a really good idea then to be conscious about what we're manifesting, right? Because we will get it whether we think we want it or not if we're doing those steps to have it, right?
Right. So we're manifesting no matter what. Yes. So that's partly why it's helpful to understand these 7 steps to manifest anything so that you can be intentional. You can be conscious if you want to. If you don't want to, then turn us off and go do something else.
Yep, everybody wants to, they just may not know it yet, right?
Oh, there you go, Ginny. Project onto the world. You all want to know how to manifest.
Yeah, but for those who do want to know how to manifest, let's jump into those 7 steps. So what's the first one?
So the first one is to become aware of what you don't want. And this is so, so, so important and often skipped, and people want to just jump into actually calling up the thing that they want. But here's the thing, life is always happening. And we're always getting what's called contrasting experiences, or experiences that contrast what we want to help us get clearer about what we do want. So if you're having an experience that you don't like, don't fight it, is my suggestion. Go, I don't like the experience I'm having. Become aware of it. And remember that it is, according to me and several other experts actually, it is and can be used as the first step to manifest anything if you become aware of it. Let's give a couple of examples. Let's say you wake up in a bad mood. You're grumpy. You can just go, oh God, I woke up in a bad mood. I feel grumpy. Today's going to be a bad day. I've got this to do. I've got that to do. I'm still in a bad, and you can just hang out in your bad mood. You can go, oh, I'm in a bad mood and I don't want to be in a bad mood. And then you can go on to step number 2. You can notice it. Mm-hmm. And it could be something bigger than that. It could be something as big as you don't like where you're living. And go, ooh, I don't like where I'm living. So you go on to step number 2. It may take longer to change where you're living than to change your mood, but it's the same process. So that's step number 1. Okay. Become aware of what you don't want.
So step number 2, then we have to do step number 1. Well, you're suggesting we do that first, or otherwise we may just keep ending up with things we don't want.
That is true. Yeah. So you can, in some cases, just go to step number 2, which is to identify what you do want. But I do think that it's really useful to understand step number 1, that it happens and you can use it intentionally. And if, for example, you want to manifest clients, because that's what I help people do, is manifest clients. And I've got an event, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but it's called a Manifesting Clients Hoopla. It's coming up this month on January 28th, and we'll go more in depth with all of these steps. But what you can do is make a list when it comes to whatever it is that you are exploring. If it's manifesting clients, you can write a list of all the things that you don't want with regard to that. If it's a new home, write a list of all the things you don't want to experience in your new home. If it's a career, same thing. If it's your mood, same thing. I don't want to feel grumpy. I don't want to wake up feeling annoyed with whoever, those kinds of things. You can just write a list of what you don't want about a whole area that you're looking at with manifesting, or you can notice when you are in that place of not wanting something. So just understanding both of those things, it's transformative, I think. I think step number 1 is like so important for anybody on a conscious transformational journey to get it. And then we have the power to go from that place of complaint or not liking something to really changing our life.
I agree. So I can't wait to hear step 2 then.
Okay, so step 2 is to identify what you do want. So if you don't want to be grumpy, what do you want? If you don't want to live in that home that you're living in, where do you want to live? And I think so many people think they know what they want. And for me, and this could be my personality type, it is hard for me to know what I want. Mm-hmm. When you know what you really want and you want it at every level of your being, your gut, your heart, your head, your higher self, every single level of your being, you can manifest it pretty easily. But when you've got some conflict going on, like, okay, my body says it wants this and my head says it wants that, then what do you do? It's really, really challenging. So I want to say that if anybody else listening is like me and it's hard for you to get clear about what you don't want, you're not alone. And keep asking yourself till as much of you can be congruent as possible, because when you're congruent with what you want, when you're clear and it feels good to you and it makes sense to you and you want it to happen, it's much easier to manifest. You can manifest things when there's some incongruency, but it's work. It's more work. It's just a lot more work. There's a lot of, but there's block clearing sometimes. And in the process of clearing blocks, which is step number 3, clear your blocks and believe you will receive it. So if you think you want something, you can start at that point. And then I've got block clearing tools that I teach my clients that I use because of my challenge of getting really clear about what I want. And they can help you get clearer and clearer and clearer. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to go back to step 2 for just a minute, because I think that knowing what we want is really important. And I remember many years ago, I think I was in my mid-30s, I went to a seminar. It was actually a very, like a retreat, very deep kind of thing. And I had to sit across from a person who asked me, what do you want? And then I answered, and then what do you want? And then, we switched back. But by the time she asked me like the 15th time, I was really angry because I was telling her what I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted. Nobody ever asked me before what I wanted. And so I started out with the real superficial stuff. Oh, I just want to be happy, or I just want a new car. And then, if you stick with that process long enough, you'll get down, I believe, to the really important essence of your life and what it is that you really want to manifest. So I think it's a hard question to answer if nobody's ever thought of that before, because, we got to work through all the crap first. But yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes what we say we want is what other people have suggested we should want,
Right.
like a handsome husband or a really successful career or to win the lottery, whatever it is. It's that, those things you may not really want, but you may think you should want them.
Yeah.
And so what do you really want? And because you are powerful, and I'm saying this to all of us, you, Ginny, me, everyone who's listening, you are really powerful. You can co-create anything with this great one, as long as it's, this will support you because it's not counter to all of existence. But according to some people, it's just going to follow you. But I like to think of being in partnership with the great one we're all part of.
Yeah. Okay, so we've done 3 steps, right? What's step 4?
So step 4 is to ask for it and activate the law of attraction. So you've cleared your block, you've claimed what you want, you've cleared blocks to it. Now you're going to ask for it. There's different things that you can do to ask for it. I teach a process that I call the new story process, which you of course know well, Ginny. You've done this with me before. And it's a practice of writing a new story about the future as if what you want is already happening. And when you write that new story, you include all of your sensory experiences, everything. You paint the picture of it with your words. So when you read this new story or you say it to yourself, you imagine it's happening now. And if you imagine it's happening now and feel as if it's happening now and think like the person who it's happening now for. And let me give an example. Just okay?
Yes.
Because this is me in my process. I've been working on my 2022 business vision. And I have this new offer that I'm going to be putting out there into the world called Speak with Your Body. And I went through this whole process of thinking, well, maybe that's the only thing I should do. And as Jenny said earlier, my business, the Manifesting Clients Academy, I work with on purpose solopreneurs and teach them how to manifest clients and how to become what I call their future on purpose self. So Ginny and everyone, I've been going in this inner dance. What do I want for 2022? Do I want this? Do I want that? Do I want this? I swear I've been going through this for the last couple of weeks. Well, today, this is where I landed. I landed that I want to provide training, support, community for 40 or more wonderful on-purpose solopreneurs to provide them with the information, the tools, and the community so that they do become their future on-purpose self. And that includes the Speak with Your Body program, which was interesting to me that I came to this place of integration today. We'll see what tomorrow brings. But the feeling feels super good right now. 40 or more people a year I'm working with in this deep way. And then I had to add another level, which is that in addition to that, 200 or more on-purpose solopreneurs through different things that I offer are supported on the journey, but those 40 people I'm working with deeply. So a new story example would go something like this. I work in depth with 40 or more wonderful on-purpose solopreneurs. Oh, I really want to say something more like this. The 40 or more on-purpose solopreneurs I work with this year become their future on-purpose self. And this means, so I take an affirmation, I add and this means, and then I fill in the blank. And this means they all do all of my programs with me. And this means I do private sessions with most of them, if not all of them. And this means there's lots of people in all of my Zoom calls for my moving sidewalk movement and my workshops and the different things that I offer. So, and this means that I feel the energy of the community that I'm created. And so so there's all these things as you write your news story, as you say it, you paint the picture of it. That was just the tip of the iceberg of this news story for me.
Yeah. And, I love that process as well. And what happens, and it was visible when you were doing it, not only do we start to see what it is that we say that we want to manifest and we start to feel it, but we also, I think, raise our vibration to the place where it can meet it. So if I'm wanting to create that or manifest that, I've got to be at a certain level with myself and with my surroundings. I can't do that in a bummy mood. I can't create from that down kind of place. I have to lift myself up. And I think the new story process is great for lifting ourselves up into something better. Doesn't mean that we stay there forever and ever all the time, but it means that if I can get excited enough about it, at least that's been my experience, it will propel me to want to take the action steps to actually make it happen. That's my experience.
Yeah. Yes, good, lots of good points. So if you're in a bad mood, you can manifest in the bad mood, but what you'll manifest is more bad mood. Because what we're vibrating now is what we're creating for the future. And your vibration is coming from what you're feeling and what you're thinking and what you're doing. That's what you were pointing to, Ginny. And the new story process, for those of us who have done enough of the other work, when we start to use it, it can raise our vibration. And we have to hang with that vibration 68 seconds or longer for it to get planted in the universe. So that's where the magical stuff happens, when it gets planted in the universe, or when the universe feels the vibration enough, which means we've hung out in that good feeling place as if it's happening now long enough, which according to Abraham Hicks is 68 seconds or longer. And we have to sometimes raise our vibration to get there. Which is great point.
And then the universe becomes a co-conspirator for our good.
That's right. So yes, we need to take action. We always need to take action. And when we've reached that vibration, oh my God, things just start showing up. I had a new client who I had a consultation with earlier this week, I think it was, and it was like, oh, this is manifestation at its best. She said, I was in meditation and I had been asking about something for my business. And while I was in meditation, your name popped up into my head. And I thought, oh, I need to call Kathryn and have a conversation with her about social media. But we ended up talking and she's doing something else with me. I mean, like doing an actual manifesting clients package and, after the conversation. But the thought of me popped into her head. That was me being in vibrational alignment and her being in vibrational alignment with what she wanted. And it does feel like magic when that happens.
Yeah, it does. It does. So what's the next step? I've lost track. Are we at 5 now?
We've done 4. So yes. So just to recap for everybody, step number 1, become aware of what you don't want. Please don't stay there. Notice if you go into complaint and shift. Step number 2 is to identify what you do want. Step number 3 is clear your blocks and believe you will receive it. Step number 4 is ask for it and activate the law of attraction. Step number 5 is give thanks for it, because if you've done 1 through 4, it is definitely on its way. And gratitude also helps you stay in the up vibration as well. So
gratitude's really important, I think, to stay. Yeah, it's hard to stay in. I've been doing a gratitude practice for probably 30 years, and I do 10 a day. And there are days when, especially being home a lot, that I don't want to do just the same thing every day that I'm grateful for. I want to have new things. But sometimes if I'm not around other people, or I'm not even out in my car, I'm sitting here going, okay, but I'm going to find that 9th or 10th thing, because I know it's there. Because by the time I finish, it's like, whoa, I am so blessed. Life is so good. And that's the vibration I want to be working at too. So I love gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful, because if you're in that I'm so blessed vibration, more I'm so blessed experiences will keep showing up. So beautiful practice, Jenny. Thank you for doing that for yourself and all of us. All right. So that was step number 5. Step number 6 is act on any intuition or guidance that you receive. So that person I told you about who reached out to me, she reached out to me.
Yeah.
She did not have to. And she could have said, oh, maybe someday I might, but she took action. And when you get those intuitive nudges, especially if they show up 3 or more times, please take action, because they will stop showing up if you don't pay attention to them, or they can. I mean, they'll come back if you do more practice to tune in, but yeah.
Yeah. And they can show up in so many ways. It could be, I had a good friend who said, I forget what he was doing with his life, but he was not interested one bit in astrology. And he was walking through a bookstore, and this astrology book actually fell off the shelf and landed at his feet. And he picked it up and he started looking at it and was so intrigued by it that he bought the book. And then a year or 2 later, that's what he was doing with his life, was doing astrology sessions. So, not everybody's going to have a book fall at your feet. But if you, like you said, if you see the same thing 3 times, or somebody keeps saying, you ought to talk to, you got to talk to Kathryn Yarborough. And that's like the 3rd person who said that to you. Or, all of a sudden this email that you've seen 100 times, like, oh, I wonder what that's about. Maybe I should check that out. This isn't just random stuff coming in, I think. And we can pay attention, but we don't always necessarily act on it once we pay attention, because something else might come in, right? That says, oh, this really isn't for me. But I think we need to take action to find out if it's for us or not, right?
I agree with that. Yes. Yes. All right. So
the drum roll.
Drum roll. Step number 7. Last step. Step number 7 is to allow yourself to change. Allow yourself to change. You cannot be that person who's sitting there complaining, I'm not having enough money, living in a rotten house, feeling grumpy, blah, 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 and then have this wonderful whatever. Have all the money that you want, have all the clients that you want, have the wonderful home you want, have the whatever. If you're in complaints or staying there, you're going to keep manifesting that. I think I've said that a few times. So you have to allow yourself to change. Be the person inside and out who is experiencing what you imagine that you would experience if you actually manifested what you want. And voila, it will be in your life.
Wow. So simple, right?
Yeah, so simple yet so challenging.
Yeah, it takes work. But I think once people get into it in any form, it can start to shift and make changes.
Yeah.
I remember hearing years ago, and it's something that I buy into, and it ties in a little bit with what you said around, once you put it out there, don't go looking under every rock to see why it hasn't shown up yet, right? Or don't lament the fact that, I asked for that and I didn't get it, because that puts us back down in that other vibration, doesn't it? Yeah. So just be grateful that you put it out there. Yeah. Well, Kathryn, I know you mentioned your hoopla, but let's tell everybody again what you have coming up and how they can also find out more about what it is that you do.
Okay, fantastic. So everyone, you can go to my website at manifestingclientsacademy.com to find out basically anything that I do. There's opportunities to reach out to me. My book is not there, but it is on Amazon. We mentioned this in the beginning. Keep Moving Forward, a guide for the on-purpose solopreneur. And the Manifesting Clients Hoopla is an event. I do private sessions, I do some group programs, and I do some online events. Pretty much everything I do right now, I work online with my wonderful on-purpose solopreneur clients. And the Manifesting Clients Hoopla is a fun event. It's 3 hours. The next one is happening on January 28th, which is a Friday, in 3 weeks, I believe, from 1 to 4 Eastern time, which I believe is 10 to 1 Pacific time. And on my website at manifestingclientsacademy.com, you'll see services and events, the little button. You can click down and you'll see the Manifesting Clients Hoopla. Right now, if you're listening today on the 7th, there is a savings with early registration. So you can save $20. It's only $47. And it's a wonderful event. It's fun. It's useful. And we go in depth with the 7 steps, not by me talking much more than what I just shared, but more you will do exercises. So you will work through the top 5 steps, because the last 2, act on any intuition and allow yourself to change, those will happen when they happen. And but we work through the first 5, and the exercises are great, the information is great, the people who show up are great, and we have fun, as well as it's really useful, people find.
Yeah, I love your hooplas for all the reasons you just said. It's always something, as many times as I've done this process, something new always shows up and I go, whoa, I didn't know that was in there waiting to be expressed. And the people who show up are really great to be hanging out with as well. So
the process isn't something, I'm sorry, Ginny, it's not something that you do once and then you're done.
Right.
Because because we're alive, we're going to keep wanting something new. We're going to keep wanting to manifest something else. And this Manifesting Clients Hoopla is for entrepreneurs. This year, you want, as I said, I want 40 clients who I work with in depth. And that is different than what I wanted last year, or I'm feeling it in a different way. So whenever you work this process, you could do it every week. You could do it, come join me for my Manifesting Clients Hoopla, however often I do it, a couple times a year maybe. And, every time it's useful.
Mm-hmm, it is. Mm-hmm. So any final words of wisdom around manifestation?
There's so many. Mm-hmm. So what's coming to me is it works. I did say it can be hard, and it isn't. It's not hard once you're really clear about what you want, and as I said in the beginning, your body, your heart, and your mind and your higher self are all in alignment with it. Then it's easy peasy. And these steps get you there. That's my experience of the reason for using these 7 steps, because they help you understand the process, and they help you get to that place to where every part of you wants what you're actually saying that you want, so that your vibration is congruent and your actions will be too. And when that happens, what you want comes. Easy peasy.
I agree. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your brilliance with us today and all of your many years of being in manifestation. I mean, you were doing it well before you were teaching it. So you're an example of learning how to do something, seeing it work, and then bringing it out to the masses and helping all of us get even clearer on it. So thank you for that. And thank you all for joining us for the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show, live in the On Purpose Woman magazine and global community Facebook page. If you love this interview and you want to share it with your friends, it will be on our YouTube channel in the next 48 hours. So go over to the On Purpose Woman global community on YouTube, subscribe, and sign up for notifications. There are a lot of inspiring, informative, and fun shows already there for you to watch on our channel. And our next interview, we're going to flip the script a little bit, and Kathryn's going to be interviewing me on Monday, January 17th at 2:00 Eastern Time. We're going to be talking about belonging, networking, business building, how to find a women's community that you love. So thank you again for watching the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show.